Hey guys, Dean here in Austria. So today we're going to be going through how you can use Canva to create graphics. You can use this for things like YouTube thumbnails, or you can use it to create different styles of graphics, and generally just use it for graphic design as a free alternative if you don't use Canva Pro to Photoshop. So Canva is quite extensive, right? And they've also recently announced that they're going to expand the suite of Canva tools. So basically they're going to go from just like graphics and things like that to a full-on design suite, which I think they've actually already implemented or began to roll out. So this is mainly just for graphics and logos, and I'm going to be showing you the basics around the website. This is for you people who want to start creating, or you want to do things like graphic design, but you don't have Photoshop as an example. This is going to be a great alternative. So on Canva, it's quite overwhelming, right? Because when we go on here, we have this huge suite of things, and I've logged in. So we have a For You page, which shows us options and suggestions on what to try out. And there's things like whiteboards, presentations, social media, videos, print products, websites, and you can also click more, which shows you other things too. So you can use this to kind of navigate and figure out what you actually want to design. For an example, if you're on here to create nice looking infographics, that's an option too. You can create impressive looking photo collages, desktop wallpapers, graphs, book covers, which is amazing for people who want to self-publish on things like Kindle, which we might cover eventually on this channel. That's a good money making method. Then we have mind maps, magazine covers, Zoom virtual backgrounds, which is those things which are behind your webcam where it makes you look like you're in a totally different room, which is really fascinating. Website graphics, calendars, posters, worksheets, planners. They have a lot of templates, as you can gather, right? So if you're looking to create something very specific, you can literally just use this wheel over here and go through and see if any of these fit your preference. There's also an ebook cover. That's really cool to sell digital products. That's something that we can also leverage on this website too. Phone wallpapers, a little bit more niche. And as you scroll down, it will show you some examples. So what do these infographics look like, for an example? This is obviously if you want to sell a service or a product these are useful for. Photo collages are really good for people who do things like interior design, or they want to post a collage of some really nice pictures of their home, for an example, on Instagram. That would be kind of cool, or social media. And then we have things like book covers, which actually look surprisingly very good. They don't look like bland templates. Like this could be a fantasy book cover template. I do think a lot of this looks quite good. So we can also click on social media, for an example, because that's probably why a lot of people are actually watching this particular video for, because you're looking how to create things like thumbnail designs, which we're going to use as an example a little bit later in this course. This is like a free guide tutorial course kind of thing on Canva, right? We can create a collection of designs for social media, which is kind of like a few different styles of graphics in a collection, which are in a very similar style but different sizes and for different purposes. We can edit images. So if you just want to manipulate an image on Canva just like you would in Photoshop to change the look of the image by adding things like photo effect layers and modifying the features, changing the vibrance and the saturation, for an example, this is the part which you want to utilize, the edit photo section. We can also create Instagram posts and Facebook posts, things for your story on any app or specifically Instagram, things to post on WhatsApp as your status, or your Facebook cover, which is usually, I believe, the cover or banner for a group, Instagram Reels content, TikTok videos, YouTube intros and thumbnails. So we're going to go on the thumbnail as an example, but intros are obviously animated. Now, personally, if I was creating content, I would recommend against using an intro because it adds another 20 to 30 seconds for the viewer to click off the video and disengage. So I think it's kind of useless putting an intro in. It really ruins engagement with content. Animated social media, and also YouTube banners. So if you're creating a brand new channel, this is also something which you could also use too, which I find very useful. The fact that they have templates for all this stuff is really cool. So that's the social media side of things, and that's the popular range. So I'm just going to open this up in a new tab, this YouTube thumbnail example, and I'm going to continue to kind of tour you through the system and the dashboard to show you all the features before we actually get into it. And we can scroll down and we can have a look at everything. We also, when we do scroll down, it shows the specific template. So before, for an example, when I clicked on the YouTube thumbnail, it won't show me the templates straight away. It'll just throw me in and give me the right dimensions and size for the editor, and it'll show the templates on the left hand side, right? Now, I'm not going to show you the editor just yet. That's an example, but if you did scroll down the page, it would show the different sections like Instagram posts, which were in these sections here at the top that I was showing you, but it will then show kind of like a set of slides for the templates which you can expect for that section. So you can scroll down and just explore the kind of things which they're offering you, which is really cool. You can also then just click on templates in general, and it will take you to the template section of Canva, and this gives you kind of everything at your fingertips, right? right? So it shows you templates in the business, social media, video, marketing, custom prints, cards and invitations, and educational content sections. And we can click on which one suits our preference, and then we can also click on subcategories for things we're looking for. So if we're doing a school project, we could click on school, for an example, and it will filter all the things which are to do with school and education, which would usually be under the education category. So you could also select that too if you want to filter things like presentation content, storyboards, and it'll take everything which is school themed and give it straight to us. So if we wanted to do a back to school post, if we worked for like the school social media team, or if we were a teacher and wanted to create a timetable for students, literally everything is here at your fingertips. So it doesn't matter what you're using Canva for, what job you have, or what service you're using. There's a template and a style of literally everything in the suite. So it's really, really useful. So it's really easy. We just filter the categories on the left hand side, and we can use the tags at the top like I showed you, which are these tags over here. And then we can also, when we click on a specific section, so I'm going to click on business because this channel is mainly about making money, e-com, business, etc. We could click on a specific category over here and it'll show us the little subcategories. So I could click on presentation, and then we can also filter it even further by going down to the style section, and we can click modern, minimalistic, simple. We can also filter by the theme and the price. So is it a free template or do you need Canva Pro to actually use it? And the color which we're actually looking for to match our house style. So there's a lot of ways that we can filter the search to find exactly what we need in Canva. So that's what I really like about this. We're going to go off the template section now. And as you can see, you can also see your recent designs. I have an example of the original YouTube banner, which I decided not to use. That was when I was first trialing the software and kind of getting my hand in the basket and testing out for myself before I did this. That was some weeks ago. Now we also have the announcements page. So as you can see, they now have the full suite of products like I initially mentioned. So we have docs, websites. So you can actually create a one-page website in Canva now and attach a custom domain name onto it. That's really useful. And we can also create whiteboards, videos, print products, presentations, etc. So you can also click on projects, and projects will take you to the projects which you have saved or created in the past. So I have various pictures like this picture of myself over here, which I imported to use as a banner image. And then we also have some random old channels and art which I had in the past. Then we have a few tools. Now Canva Pro, this little crown means that we can only access that with Canva Pro. We can also discover apps, for an example, and we can have a look at these different apps which kind of make our workflow a little bit easier and offers a few different things that we can utilize. For an example, we can add your Google Drive photos directly into your designs instead of uploading them all manually to Canva, which I particularly think is a really cool feature. Then we have smart mockups. So this is just creating product mockups for your projects really quickly. As like we had with the template section, this is a set of templates which we can utilize. So we can use something like a laptop stock image or a stock photo of someone and then put something on it, and we can use that for promotional content, which I think is really cool. You can also launch the app if you want to download it instead of using the web version, but for the purpose of this, we're just going to use the web version. Now, if you click create a team, this is really cool, okay? And the reason why you'd want to create a team is if you were working to collaborate on a project. So if you're part of some kind of social media team, if you're working for a business or you're an employee and you're not using Canva as an independent, you could create a business, which is usually what your project or team leader would do. But if you're in that role, you could create a team in Canva and invite members of your team or other people online if you're doing remote work and kind of networking with people. And then you can use that team to share, edit, and collaborate with them in real time using the Canva software and toolset. So that's also a nice feature, which I don't think is something you should overlook if you're in that situation. Let's jump into the Canva editor. Now, if you wondered how I got into this editor over here, earlier, if you'd been watching, I did click on the YouTube thumbnail template to open up this editor, and I said I'd set it and forget it for later, and later has come, so now we're going to have a look at that. So opening any template like I showed you before will open the editor specifically for what you want. Now, if you guys want me to show you Canva for video editing and the other sets of tools in Canva's new suite, I can also do a video on each of those too. But this is mainly an example to show you Canva's suite, the dashboard, explain all the tools, and show you how to specifically do graphics by using the YouTube thumbnail template as an example. If you want me to cover the full Canva toolset, do let me know in the comments, and I will also make a course or a video covering that. As you can see, I would recommend if you're just jumping into it for the first time, just use these templates. Now, the thing about YouTube personally is click-through rate is very important. So creating a really attractive and good thumbnail can result in you getting a ton of views. But if you have a terrible thumbnail, you'll get no views. Now, just because you're using a template doesn't mean your thumbnail is going to be good, right? If you create a thumbnail with a template that looks bad, it's still going to be a bad thumbnail. So I'd really recommend just going through all of these thumbnail templates and just trying to find something that's actually good. Now, I'm not sure if Canva has specific pro templates. We'll have to have a look. Now, I personally think the thumbnail templates on Canva are a lot better than some websites. So this channel is about money, finance, and business, right? But if I was to do content about crypto, this would be quite a good template here. Now, I do actually see a lot of so-called crypto girls or crypto women actually talking about crypto because the CPM is really high and it's quite a valuable and profitable niche. So this would be a pretty cool template. For an example, this woman over here, we don't really care about this woman unless you just want to use this template and use her photo, but I'd recommend just trashing that. And the good thing about this is you can obviously type in your title, so like best new altcoin, something like that, just to catch the viewer's attention. And there we already have a new thumbnail, right? And we can move the graphics around and we just use this little corner here to pull it and resize the graphics. But you also do have to resize this graph as well to actually resize the graphics, so pay attention to that. But if we don't like it, we can just resize this back and it will snap to the grid with these little purple lines, which you saw, which aligns it to the text and other nearby objects to make it actually fit in to scale and be in a good place. The picture of that girl that we deleted, I would recommend, for an example, if you're a woman doing a crypto channel, let's just say as an example, you could literally just take a picture of you doing the same pose to make it more personalized to you and then replace the picture of her, which we deleted. And what you do to do that is we click on uploads. Now I just have a picture of me here just as an example, so I'm just going to add this because I've already uploaded it. But you would just click on upload files and then you would upload the file here of you doing that pose or whatever you want yourself to look like if it's a personal channel, and you'd upload it through that. And then what I can do is I can manipulate this picture and I can obviously put it somewhere on the graph. Now you can also press position over here. I can press bottom and this will change where the position is, and we can also click this over here to go into the grid view and back. We can also go into full screen mode, which kind of looks like we're in Microsoft PowerPoint, which is actually pretty funny. We can also animate, but you don't want to do that. That's really silly. You want to click on edit image, okay? And from edit image, if you have a graphic or an image to edit, we can then change things like brightness from here. So I could change the brightness. I can make it darker, so I have a darker shirt. Turn up the saturation. Just as an example, we could put on different filters. We can also remove the background of your image, and you require Canva Pro to actually do this, okay? We can also click on smart mockups like I showed you earlier, and it will actually import one of those pictures like with a smartphone and stuff. It'll put our image inside it, which is actually pretty funny. So there's a lot of manipulation tools we can actually do by clicking on those edit image options. We can also click on crop, so we could crop our image over here to crop a specific portion of it, and then press done, and now we've cropped it, and I could resize the image with these corners to put myself on the screen. This kind of looks like a meme right now because I wouldn't personally use this, but I'm just showing you the fundamentals. We can also flip it so we can change the position of the picture facing the other direction. And we can also zoom into the image editor at the bottom, which I'd recommend if things are a little bit hard for you to see. Now, if you want to add different elements to the actual thumbnail, what we could do is we can go into the elements section, and here we can add things like lines, okay? Which is particularly useful. So for an example, you do see a lot of people put in like arrows and images to add emphasis to something. You see those in a lot of popular thumbnails. So we could just add this element over here, and then we could change the color to red, for an example, and then we have a red arrow, and we can just literally rotate it, and then we could put the red arrow to like new, for an example, to show it's like a new altcoin, and then we have more emphasis on that. Now, I personally wouldn't do this. I don't think it looks very good, but that's just something that people do. And then we could realign this. And as you can see, we now have an arrow which kind of grabs people's attention because it's more vibrant. And it actually doesn't look too bad, although this looks pretty bad right now. So you can add shapes in here, which is particularly good for arrows. You can also add little graphics. So if we wanted to have like a different colored graph, we could also add that in here. And the good thing about these particular graphics, like I showed you with the arrow, is we can actually change the color of them. So I could change this picture to a green one, just like what we've got here, and I could replace that graph just to make it more unique. And there's so many cool things that we can actually add on here, like stickers. We can add different photos and videos, but if you're editing something like a thumbnail, that's pretty pointless. And this is where you go to get additional elements and vectors to add onto the canvas when we're editing right in the editor. So that's something you might want to look at if you're looking for things like stock photos or clip art, for an example. It's basically already at your fingertips. Like we can click on these collections and just add them in. So it really depends on what type of channel you have. Then text, we can also add text. I mean, you could right click and press copy, and then right click and press paste, and you can copy and paste text in the exact same style as from the template if we want to create new text as well. So everything is usually with right click. We can also right click and press send backward over here. And we can completely do that. We can press send to back, and we can put the picture of me behind at the very back. So that's how you reorganize and arrange the layers. There's no layer box like in Photoshop. It's basically just all right clicking. You can also animate, comment notes on here, replace the background to stretch the image and replace the background. And you can also undo that by holding Control and pressing the Z key. If you press File over here, there's also some access to other options. So we can name the project file and it'll show you the resolution of the template. You can create a new design and also upload files from here. We can show the ruler, which is something which is particularly good in Photoshop when we're aligning things so we know where the halfway point is. For an example, we can show the margins, which adds this dotted line around the margins of the photo. And we can easily just untick these options. We can save it and we can have a look at the version history, make a copy and download, or open it directly in the app if we've downloaded it. So I'm going to remove this picture of myself because it really just doesn't fit this picture, for an example. Also, if you press more, you can click on things like photos and then we can go through and then we have pictures of photos. So I have a picture of this guy and I could just add him in, for an example. And here we have the picture of this guy. And then I could also add this in. I could press center back and then just bring to front. And then now we can resize this image, for an example, and half of the image could be that guy and then half could be the Halloween picture. And then we could go under the elements and then we could get this line over here and then we could make a divider which will snap in between, and then we can change the color to white, and then we can change the line weight, which is basically another word for the thickness, and create ourselves a divider. So now we have a divider in the middle and two different photos which are kind of polarizing each other. So that's how you can do things with dividers. So we could also Control, copy, and then also paste. And then we could do a divider here, for an example. And we could create a 4-way image instead. We can leave this guy here. We can pull this up a little bit. We have the Halloween picture in there. And then we could go back into photos and find some other cool pictures. Then we can resize this one. We'll bring these to the front as well, these dividers. And then we can just resize these here. We can send this one backwards and we can resize this up here, right? And then this is where the cropping comes in handy, because then we can go up and crop this image down to below the divider. And then it doesn't overflow into the other section. And then I'll just get a last image. And then I'll resize this one too. And then I'll crop this down. Boom. And now we have a 4-sided image with different sections. So this is how you would create a split image down the middle with a divider, and also a 4-segmented image too. And then we could also put text on top of this, for an example. So I could add a heading over here, then I could type in like interior design, just something like that. Okay, I guess this is sent to the front. Then we can align this in the middle by snapping it. We can make the text a bit bigger so it stands out when we zoom out. And then here we have interior design. We can also press bold to make it look better. We can increase the size a little bit more. And you can change the font over here by pressing at the top. And we can go through the font list if you want to change it. There's actually some really cool fonts, but the basic Canva Sans is actually really attractive. You can also add effects. So you can add a shadow in this way, and we can change the color of the shadow. I'm going to put in black as the color of the shadow, and we're just going to set this up, and there we go. And there you go. There we have some text with a shadow behind it that stands out. And if we press Control and minus to zoom out, you can also see what your thumbnail will look like when it's zoomed out, which is usually typically what it will be like in the search page or in a recommended section. And you can use that to figure out how big things should be and if it's still legible and readable from a distance. So when you have something that you actually like, we can then go ahead, we can press File, and then we can press Save. And this will save the project. And then we can also press download, and then we can download it as an actual image, which we can then use. Now, I particularly think a JPEG or JPG is best to actually download for thumbnails because they have a more compressed file size, and there's like a 2 MB file size limit when you upload a thumbnail on YouTube. So it's important to press JPG. Then you have the size, which is locked because we're using a template, and you can only change that when you have Canva Pro, including the quality, but the default quality is fine. And just press download, and then it will come up with this, and it will press completed. And then now I've downloaded this, and this is what we've downloaded. Really quick, very basic design. I've showed you all the tools, how to add clip art, how to make text, how to make dividers, how to add big red arrows, how to actually cut, crop, modify images, change the shades and the coloring of the images, and use the general editor, add text, etc. So this is the finished design. Obviously, this is really dependent on your niche. And then obviously we could go ahead and just delete everything, and we could go to templates, and we could also do a different template. So just as a secondary example, We could do another template over here for a different niche. Something for this channel, I would probably use something like this. So if I was doing like a method, maybe for AliExpress, and I was saying like 5,000 a day method, which would probably be untrue because that's pretty ridiculous unless you've scaled up to that point. It would be very unrealistic to make a brand new fresh store and get that on the first few days. But we could do like 5,000 per day, and then I could just type in like drop shipping, and then we could resize this. Okay, and then I would resize it like this, or I would highlight the specific text which needs to be smaller than the other text, and I'd make it a little bit smaller so it actually fits. And then as you can see, we now have this text over here, which we can move to. I would also replace this guy. I just think he just looks too generic. You can also type in something. So I could type in like man, for an example, and import this guy over here. And if you're using Pro, you can see the ones with these backgrounds are cut out for you. So they're already cut out and they don't have a background behind them, just like this guy, which is a lot easier to edit. And you can just replace it with a different image. But obviously when you're doing videos like this, it's best to use a picture of yourself because that always works the most. So that's how to use the template system and how to use Canva. If you have any questions about Canva, how to use it, any questions about the demonstration which I showed, do leave them in the comments below and I'll try and answer them as soon as possible. And give the video a like if it provided some kind of value and it was useful to you. I'd also recommend subscribing if you're interested in business, finance, money, and investing, things like dropshipping and also travel. I do cover all of those topics and niches on this channel. And like I said before, do let me know too if you want me to do a tutorial on the other tools in the new Canva suite, which they've brought out in the last 1 or 2 months. So I could cover maybe the video editor next time, or how to make separate types of graphics like the infographics. Just let me know down below what you want and I'll try and help you with it or create a secondary video on that topic. See you soon.